Aaron Rodgers, ever since he went to the New York Jets, has been the talk of the NFL media. Every single day it's, oh, how good are the Jets going to be with Aaron Rodgers? Or the New York Jets Super Bowl or bust with Aaron Rodgers being their starting quarterback this year. And everybody seems to have really lofty goals and expectations for the Jets this season. But there are a good amount of people out there who tell you that this thing is going to end really ugly and it's not going to have the Cinderella ending that many people think that it will. And, you know, when you look at the New York Jets this season, they do have a really good roster. They got a great defense, Sauce Gardner. You also have Quentin Williams. You got some young pass rushers that have a lot of potential. And then you look at the offense. You look at receiver. You got Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard. You got a really good group of running backs. You got Aaron Rodgers back there at QB. But people have concerns about the offensive line. And for the people who do question the Jets' offensive line, you got a pretty good point. The teams that go the furthest in the playoffs are the teams that have really good offensive line play. Look at the last 4 teams that were in conference championship week last year. Kansas City, Cincinnati. Who advanced in that matchup? Kansas City. You want to know why? Because they have a better offensive line than Joe Burrow. What has held back Joe Burrow and Cincinnati from capturing a Super Bowl? Their offensive line. Look at the NFC Championship. You had the Eagles and the 49ers who had 2 of the best offensive lines in that conference last year. If you don't have good offensive line play, you're not going to go too far. Now, in the Jets' case, I don't think that the Jets' offensive line is going to be bad enough that it holds them back from making it to the postseason. I think that the New York Jets, for them to implode, you got to say that Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers is not going to work. You see the difference between the Aaron Rodgers and New York Jets saga versus Brett Favre and his tenure with the New York Jets is that Brett Favre was going into a situation where he didn't have any familiarity. New offensive coordinator, learning a new system with new teammates. Aaron Rodgers has a lot of familiarity. He's really comfortable being with the New York Jets. You want to know why? Because he has Nathaniel Hackett, somebody who he has a really good relationship with and somebody who he already understands his offense, what he wants, what he expects. Peyton Manning had a similar thing. Same thing with Tom Brady, although they didn't have the same offense per se that they did with their previous stop. Their coaching staffs were willing to tailor their offense a little bit to their liking and kind of implement some things that they were comfortable with their previous team. I think that the New York Jets hiring Nathaniel Hackett was a really good move if they were going after Aaron Rodgers, because not just do you entice Aaron Rodgers getting the offensive coordinator that he has a really good relationship with, but also getting somebody who he has a good understanding of what he expects out of his quarterback. Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers already spent time together with each other in Green Bay. So with them already having that understanding and already having a good grasp on what each other is capable of, I don't really think there's going to be a lot of, inconsistency to start the season like it was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had to start running plays that Tom Brady was familiar with when he was playing with the New England Patriots. And we saw Tom Brady end up winning a Super Bowl his first season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that this New York Jets saga has way more similarities to Tom Brady's stint with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers than it does Brett Favre when he was with the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers was pretty much allowed to handpick the receivers that he wanted to throw the football to. This man took a $30-something million pay cut to help out this franchise. That shows commitment. That shows dedication to winning a Super Bowl. That's what you need if you want to be able to be a champion. You got to make sacrifices. And Aaron Rodgers took a $30-something million sacrifice for the sake of winning with the New York Jets. I think that many people keep going off the narrative that Aaron Rodgers just isn't a great person to have in the locker room with a young team. He's already proven that narrative wrong. Look how these players have embraced Aaron Rodgers in Hard Knocks. All you hear them talking about is, man, look how great 8 looks, man. 8 is the man. Oh, the bad man, number 8. These young players love Aaron Rodgers. He's like the cool hippie uncle that you have at the cookout. He may be a little bit weird, but he's a super cool, super likable guy. You see, I think the media keeps pushing a untrue narrative about Aaron Rodgers that when things go wrong, Aaron Rodgers is a bad teammate. They think that Aaron Rodgers is in the honeymoon state with the New York Jets, which the honeymoon state is pretty much, everybody likes each other, everybody's getting along, but after, things start to get a little bit tough, the honeymoon stage kind of starts to pass over. And that's where you start to see somebody's true personality. But I really think this is who Aaron Rodgers is. I just think that he didn't really care too much about the Green Bay Packers after they decided to draft Jordan Love instead of trying to get him additional help in order to win. I think that Aaron Rodgers kind of stopped caring a lot about the Packers organization when he realized that this was an organization that was more committed to the Packers than they were committed to winning with him. And you see with the New York Jets, they're all about Aaron Rodgers. And you kind of have to be all in when you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady on your team that's had a really great career and is a future Hall of Famer. Especially when they're in the tail end of their career, they need all the talent they can get. For the New York Jets, everything that the Green Bay Packers refused to do for Aaron Rodgers, they've done for Aaron Rodgers. And you can say their owner is impulsive. They don't have a history of being a stable franchise. But guys like Aaron Rodgers are good enough to come in and change the culture. That's what Tom Brady did with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He changed the culture. What were the Buccaneers before Tom Brady arrived? Like, you didn't hear anything about Tampa Bay since they won the Super Bowl back in 2002. Tom Brady gets there, and they won their first Super Bowl since, nearly 2 decades. Tom Brady changed the culture of the Buccaneers franchise when he was there. You see, just because the New York Jets were dysfunctional before Aaron Rodgers arrived doesn't mean they're still going to remain a dysfunctional franchise. Aaron Rodgers is the kind of quarterback that's good enough to change the culture of the New York Jets organization, at least while he's playing. I don't think that this Jets thing is going to result in a massive implosion. I don't think that the Jets are going to disappoint. I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to be good enough to get the New York Jets at least to the playoffs and possibly to the divisional round. This team was a quarterback away from making it to the playoffs. They won 7 games with Joe Flacco, Chris Striveler, Zach Wilson, and Mike White at quarterback. And you mean to tell me that you don't think Aaron Rodgers can be better than those guys? Who's been the best quarterback for the New York Jets over the last decade? Who was the quarterback who led the New York Jets to the most success in the early years under Rex Ryan? It was Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez probably has been the best quarterback that the Jets have had. You mean to tell me that you don't think Aaron Rodgers can be better than him? For this to not work out, it's going to take more than not having a great offensive line. You can still overcome not having a good offensive line, and Aaron Rodgers is able to do that. He's really good inside the pocket. He can get the ball out fast. He makes great decisions with the football. I don't think the Jets need to have a great offensive line to be a playoff team. Now, they do need a great offensive line if they hope to be a contender for the Super Bowl, but I don't think this offensive line is that bad. People say, oh, Aaron Rodgers was showing frustration in training camp. Who doesn't show frustration in training camp? Bryce Young was upset with Frank Wright a couple of days ago because the play came in too slow. Everybody has frustrations at training camp. It's training camp, man. That's where tempers flare. I'm not really concerned about Aaron Rodgers with the New York Jets. I think that people are trying to milk this thing too much. I think people seem to forget that anytime you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, the team galvanizes behind him. The team rallies behind Aaron Rodgers. These young players, they look up to Aaron Rodgers for leadership, for life advice. Aaron Rodgers is a better leader than what most people give him credit for. Sauce Gardner and these young cats just don't, automatically buy into anybody. They got to believe in you. They believe in Aaron Rodgers. You see, with Brett Favre, you didn't really hear the same sentiment, even though the Brett Favre incident didn't even really go all that bad. They were pretty good to start the first half of the season. Then some injuries came along, and that's where things started to go south. With Aaron Rodgers, though, as long as he stays healthy, I think that this is going to work. If you think that this is going to implode, you're thinking that Aaron Rodgers is going to be Brett Favre 2.0 when he was with the New York Jets, when these are two different situations. The situation that Brett Favre walked into when he first went to the New York Jets is way different compared to the situation that Aaron Rodgers is going into this season with New York. He has a great group of wide receivers. He's going to have a great defense. And his offensive line should be pretty solid. It's having some struggles early on in training camp, but as I mentioned earlier, you don't need to have a great offensive line to make it to the postseason. As long as this offensive line isn't amongst the worst in the NFL, you should be fine. But I don't think this offensive line is completely going to make or break Aaron Rodgers. Like, Aaron Rodgers can overcome having a slightly below average offensive line. And I don't think this offensive line is going to be that bad. What does Aaron Rodgers do great? Get the ball out fast, make great decisions with the football. The Jets can at least be a playoff team. Like, what is your definition of implosion? Like, do you just think that the Jets are just going to be doo-doo? I don't think that's realistic. I don't think that's going to happen. Even Brett Favre and the Jets, when he was there, they weren't doo-doo. They were actually a really good team until injuries started to pile up. So I kind of think that people are hoping that this Aaron Rodgers thing doesn't work out, because I think they're either a Bills fan, a Dolphins fan, or a Patriots fan, and they're a little bit concerned. I think people feel threatened by Aaron Rodgers. I think people are afraid of what the New York Jets can be if they actually have a great offensive line and Aaron Rodgers is able to bounce back to the player that he was last season or the season prior to last. And even if you call Aaron Rodgers washed up, he's better than anything the Jets have had at QB. And over the last decade, they haven't had a good quarterback since who? Chad Pennington? So I don't think Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets are going to be an implosion waiting to happen. I think this is going to be a playoff team, and I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the AFC. They got a great defense, outstanding defense. And now with Aaron Rodgers at the helm, even if he isn't the Aaron Rodgers of old, he can at least be better than Zach Wilson, whoever else you had at quarterback, and you won 7 games with that. So what's keeping you from winning 9 or 10 this season? I mean, to just say this thing is going to result in a disaster, I think you need to go back and watch how the New York Jets were when they had Brett Favre. It wasn't an implosion. It was actually being pretty successful until injury started to occur. So unless an injury happens to Aaron Rodgers, I don't see how this doesn't work.